Jesus talks of a field where wheat and the weed darnel are growing. Darnel resembles wheat, so it's hard to go into a field of closely growing grass and separate it from wheat. Even if you can tell the difference, the roots are so intertwined that pulling up one plant will destroy several others. When the evangelist put this parable into his gospel, he aimed it at an experience the church faced in the first century and still faces 20 centuries later: weeds. We are the crop of Christ, sown in the world to show the love of God. But something has gone wrong. There are weeds in the field. They look like wheat, like the true harvest of saints, and sometimes it's hard to tell one from the other, but weeds are among us. One need not be an expert in the church's history or current events to know that we're a very mixed crop. There's not a single sin from which we Christians are exempt. We've committed them all, and might even be responsible for inventing a few new ones. There are some weeds that fool me into thinking they're healthy fruit bearers. I have no problem pointing out some of the more obvious weeds in the church. Christ went to the cross for me, but he is not getting his crucifixion's worth out of me, that's for sure. I am, too often, one of the weeds in his church. My problem is that I'm some sort of hybrid. The Lord sowed me as good seed for the growth of his gospel, but there's some degree of weed in me. Not only does his field, the church, contain weeds, even some of the wheat is a bit weedy. Which way will I go? I can become weedier, that's for sure. Can I become greenier? Am I tending toward one or the other today? Am I a seed for the growth of the kingdom of God? Fortunately, God's reign does not depend totally upon me. It does not even depend totally upon the whole church. God will make it happen. Even small, hybrid seed like me can somehow bear fruit because God will make us do so. Mustard seed is not actually the smallest seed, and the mustard plant is only a moderately large shrub. But the bush it becomes is much greater than one would expect from looking at the seed. So I have reason to hope that the good in me will not be totally overwhelmed by the weedy, and will be of some use to God in making the kingdom come. My little bit will serve, like a bit of yeast, to bring the whole world to God. How can I cooperate in this? How can I nurture the mustard seed of God in me? How can I be leaven for the world when I know that I'm so weedy? I cannot do it on my own. Just as the kingdom will be brought about through God's power, so too will my part in building that kingdom be brought about through God's power. I need only prepare myself for that power to work in me. But how? St. Paul tells the Christians in Rome that he faces the same problem. Our weakness is too strong for us to overcome it. But Paul tells us that the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We gather on Sunday in order, among other things, to pray that the kingdom come. Prayer is the operation that allows the good in us to overcome the evil. It's the means by which we hybrids can become more and more like good seed. In our prayer, God makes the seemingly impossible happen. The seed of good flourishes, the world is leavened. All we need do is pray. But how? No matter how much God may be satisfied with my prayer, I'm not. I want it to be deeper, more fervent, more frequent, and more effective than it actually is. That's because I look upon it as something that I do. But Paul tells me not to worry, because we do not know how to pray as we ought, but that very Spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words. If I wish to pray to be better seed, the Spirit of God will do that praying for me. And then, little hybrid though I may be, I will take my place in the field of the Lord, being good grain for the world.